by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Woo. What's up, everybody? What a hectic morning. It's 11:30. I'm getting on the road, going to a funeral. That's the common nomenclature. My people, my culture, the African peoples in America typically refer to them as homegoing services, a celebration of life, if you will. This is an interesting thing. I don't know, people discuss this, at the race relations meetings, if they talk about these. I'm obsessed with these eccentricities, and I think that I love stand-up comedy, and it'll never get old, hearing and talking about the differences amongst the cultures. It's fascinating to me, because we're different, but we're the same. So typically at funeral, one would wear all black to symbolize mourning, I suppose, out of respect for the family and the deceased. Interestingly enough, most of the memorial services that I have attended in my day, they've been sort of the opposite, where most people will wear extremely bright colors, like flip it on its head, and we're not going to wear dark, we're not going to be sad, we're going to wear bright colors, and we're going to celebrate life, because they moved on to a better place. They're in heaven now, right? They've graduated from their physical, their earthly existence, and they've gone to the upper room. So that's fascinating to me. And life after death, what happens after we die, is always going to be a debate or a discussion or a thought experiment or something to grapple with, always, in my opinion, until you're not here no more. Psychic mediums, people that claim to communicate with those that have passed on over to the other side, fascinating. I am extremely open-minded. I'm very skeptical about man-made systems, very skeptical. Authority, very skeptical. But when it comes to the natural order of things, the natural universe, the physical, the metaphysical, I'm extremely open-minded. So if somebody said that they had a message from my grandfather that had passed over, I would listen. Whereas I feel that most people in my family would be like, "Get away, Satan, that is not what we do in the Lord's house. We do not partake of such witchcraftery." Wow, ain't that a difference? So this is some real stuff, and I wasn't planning on telling you guys this, but I've got quite a dilemma on my hands, quite a dilemma. So rest in peace, if you do that, to the dearly departed soul. It lived to 98. I consider that job well done. You got grandkids. You are a winner, my friend. So tears of joy today, but not tears of tragedy. None of that. So it's going to be at a church. Weddings, funerals, church services, they happen at a church, right? So I was raised Christian, apostolic, then Foursquare, then non-denominational, then, come on now, that's my current religious status. Come on now. Seriously? Yeah, no labels on that. You fill that in for yourself. And it is desired that my children be part of a Catholic service, baptism, christening, whatever you want to call it. Whatever it is called, respect to the institution and those that hold it sacred. So whatever it is, the proper terminology for it. I always thought that the Catholic tradition was to do some sort of sprinkling of holy water on the infant's head, and that was more or less a symbol of dedicating the child's life to Christ, something like that. I've seen the baptism in churches that I've attended where they dunk the person under the water, like it's a symbol of your old life is dying, and then you're raising again in your new life as a Christian, a born again Christian, right? I'm familiar with that ceremony. As an adult, as a parent, there's that dilemma that you don't really think of as a single young person. Like, what do I do about Santa Claus? Do I tell my kid, do we play the game that I don't believe that there's a real person, that Santa Claus that goes delivers toys to everybody, but we're going to play that there is, and then they sort of figure it out when they figure it out. I feel like most modern Western American families do some sort of version of that. And then it's like, what do you do? Do you rob your children of the joy of Christmas and not do that? Well, we've never did that in our family, but that was because of the religious part, I think. The Christianity aspect. Jesus is the reason for the season, not the Saint Nicholas and the whatever. Conversation for another day. But this baptism, so me as an individual, I put them all in the myth box. And a myth does not necessarily mean that it's fake, that it's false, that it's fiction. There is that connotation. There is a high correlation of myths being more or less accepted as pointing to truth but not being truth. Jordan Peterson has a great explanation of why myths are necessary, why religion is beyond true and it should not be scrutinized with the scientific definition of true, which I very much respect his viewpoint on that. And I would default to that for somebody who is lost and who is trying to find an answer. But it's complicated, man. When you hear stories, they're quirky, cute, funny, whatever, people in different religions marrying together. You don't hear about fundamentalist A marrying fundamentalist B and hilarity ensues. Usually people are practicing to some degree on the spectrum, and they'll get together with somebody who's practicing on some degree of the spectrum. They get together and they work it out, they figure it out. They have kids and they probably fight about it, discuss it, whatever. So, based on my outside looking in with the Catholic tradition, I thought if you're not an infant, you can't be christened. That's just what I thought. I didn't research it. That was just an assumption that I made. So there was a few circumstances. So it was understood that it was going to happen. And then I said I didn't want it to happen. And then some circumstances made it so that it couldn't happen in the window that I thought was appropriate. And so in my mind, I'm like, dodged a bullet, don't have to deal with the sorcery, let's call it. And I'm using that word because what's the other word? What's another way to describe? You go to an ornate building that is considered sacred by those that built it, use it, sanction it, whatever, commission it. You say a set of words in another language. Is that not a spell? Is that not an incantation? Is it just a nice poem? What do you call that? I don't know. But I'm not with that. Like, that's not. I don't think you should do it just to do it. I don't think you should do a ceremony just because people want to have a ceremony. You shouldn't do things to yourself and to your seed to satisfy another. That doesn't make any sense to me. So what do I do? What do I do? Go along to get along? So this just hit me recently, in the last couple of weeks, that, oh, nobody, it's not too late, and it's still happening. And I'm like, no, it's not. So is this crazy? Am I out of line for saying what I'm about to say? So I think we all know about in the deep south, say Louisiana, around that area, there was voodoo. I don't know if it was an African religion that came over and took root and then changed. But we all know about like voodoo dolls, and you could do spells over people and manipulate something, and then it affects them, and that is a real thing that people practice, to my knowledge. One of my favorite movies, like a Sixth Sense type of movie with a twist that's in that vein, is Skeleton Key with Kate Hudson. Fantastic, and Peter Skarsgård, got all those extra A's. I love that movie, and I think it's a great thought experiment, piece of art about that culture. That's my opinion, and it that movie hit me in such a way that the music from the movie I don't let my kids listen to. Call that superstitious, call it whatever you want. Everybody's complicated, multi-layered, hypocritical beings to some degree, and I'm happy to accept that. So the argument that I used is, let's say my family, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, whatever, was hardcore into voodoo practices. I don't know anything about it. Just surface. So what if they were like, oh, you have kids? Well, in our family, this is what we do. We do this spell for prosperity and good fortune. Let us do this for your children. My guess is that would not fly. They'd be like, no, you're not doing that occultish or satan, whatever they would think and label it as. They'd be like, no, hard pass, no. That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel about a Catholic ceremony. So we've had many discussions about it. I thought I was out the woods. It's still on the table. The compromise that we come up with was, okay, well, let's get the literature. Let's find out what's going to be said. Let's translate it and see if we're okay with the words that they're saying during the ceremony. And if we have a problem with it, we'll change it. And then that's what we'll do. That's our compromise. And I said it in the moment, but the more I thought about it, I was like, wait a second. This mighty, powerful institution is going to go back and say, oh, sure, we'll change our century-old script for y'all. No problem. And our priest, if that's what they're called, pardon me if that's the wrong word. I hate that I even said that. Pardon me. Sorry if I offended you. Shut up. Shut up. You think he's going to remember? Oh, I'm not going to say this line because we got special. Let me get a special pastrami. Hold the mustard. I'm putting mustard on a sandwich because that's the way I make it every day. Come on now. Somebody help me out. What do I do? Somebody that's married more than 7 years and has more than one child, please tell me, what do I do in this situation? Because I want to put my foot down, but I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? Because coronavirus and germs and whatnot. You dig? What kind of music we got? Got some James Brown. Feel good. I feel nice too, player. I'm glad you do. Droop. I don't listen to this stuff. I apologize. Freestyle Fresh 2020 vlog, episode 48. What's up? February is almost over. Black History Month. Learn you something. Go do your research. I love you. Canatonic.co. Get you some CBD in your life on me. Not for free, but the shipping is. Holla at your boy. See you tomorrow. Peace.